Hi Steve, there's two control panels inside the motorhome just above the habitation door. The screen on the right is the main control panel. It's a touch screen, so we turn it on. That button there powers it up. Now the top symbol is the internal lighting, the second symbol is the awning light, and sorry, I just didn't mean to do that. There's a setting symbol, and then on the left there, that's a symbol for a tap. That pressurizes the system so you can use the water. That applies to the toilet as well. Below that, you've got the tanks, which the symbol showing the amount of water in the fresh water and the wastewater. So you can see on the left there, there's 25% fresh water within the system. If we go back, that's the battery levels. You can see that it's showing the solar panel as well. Leisure battery 12.2, vehicle battery 13.1, and if we look on the right, we can see that there's 1.3 amps coming through the solar panel, and we're discharging 2.4 amps at the moment for the systems that are already on the motorhome. Okay, that's the home screen. There's settings in here as well. That's the battery power setting. Always leave these two symbols on smart. That's going to then, the system itself will work out what needs charging. You don't have to do anything. Okay, and the little home there, we'll go back to the screen. Now, the screen on the left is the heating and hot water. To use this control panel, this one has to be turned on. So it's a long press, and there she comes on. Now, if you look at the symbols flashing, there's a line above the symbols. Everything above the line is what we're going to do or program the system to do. Okay, so let's say we're going to heat the inside of the motorhome. We've got the thermometer inside the symbol, which indicates that's the heating within the system. So it's flashing. We want just back it up. So we want to enter that. It's now saying off. We've got a turn dial, and that's how I set my desired temperature. So let's put it on for 25 degrees, accept that, and then a symbol appears at the top, meaning the heating's been selected. If we go along one more again, a thermometer in wavy lines, that's the hot water tank if you like. So we select that, it's off at the moment. Eco, that's economical. Hot or boost. Hot and boost, the boost setting just heats the water quicker. Probably take 15 minutes to excuse me, to heat the water. In hot it'll probably take 25-30 minutes, and the eco, I'm not really sure how long it'll take. I would never use that unless you're absolutely short on the power coming to the vehicle. Now remember, we've now got to, we'll leave it on hot for now. I'll select that. Now we've got to select our fuel source. So I turn it one more time, and we've got a gas canister and the electricity symbol flashing. So now we've got to decide which is the fuel source we're going to use. I'm not plugged into 240 at the moment, so I'm limited to gas. Okay, but the options are mix 1, mix 2, electric 1, electric 2. Electric 1 and 2 is essentially just 1,000 and 2,000 kilowatts of electric, and mix 2 is 2,000 kilowatts and the gas together. Mix 1, 1,000 kilowatts and the gas together. So as I said, we're going to put it on gas. We'll now go to the fan. That's purely and simply the fan that blows the air throughout the motorhome on the ducts we see under the seating, and likewise. So we can enter that. Eco, high, eco, high. Okay, so we put it on high, we'll accept that. Now what's happening now, the system is now primed to run the heating within the motorhome and the water heating on gas. Now you will see that the heating and the hot water symbols are flashing. They will flash until the heating temperature's been achieved and the hot water is being heated. So they'll flash until that's taken place. Okay, But remember, this control panel on the right has to be on for this one to work. Okay. Now the way to determine whether the boiler's actually fired or not, if you're not sure, is to come outside, and you'll see from the habitation door you've got the fridge vent and then the boiler vent. You can probably hear that, but more probably just put your hand in, be careful, it's quite hot. So that's expelling all the burnt gases, so that tells them the boiler's on. Now, two important points. Before you turn on the hot water in the vehicle, you must make sure, first of all, there's hot water within the motorhome. Sorry, there's water within the motorhome, and that the hot tank or the boiler has actually got water in it. Now, the way to do that is to follow this procedure. Make sure the pump is turned on, then go to any tap. The kitchen tap is probably the best. And if we put it in the cold setting to start with, turn it on, there's we've got a continuous flow of water. It will be in the cold setting. Turn it to the hot setting and open the tap again. If we get a continuous flow on the hot setting from any tap, we know the tank is full. Now, this is already primed. The first time you use it after it's been shut down, don't be alarmed if you get air and water spluttering out. Until it clears through the system, you will get that. Okay, so now we know there's water in the hot tank, so it's safe to put the heating on. I'm now under the bed looking at the boiler itself. Now, there's one other important thing that you need to know. If I just glance to the left there, you can see a control that's got a blue triangle on the top. That's the water release valve. Now, it's also got a frost protection sensor on it, so when the temperature falls to a certain level, if the boiler's not on, it'll automatically drop the water from the tank so it doesn't freeze. Now, the problem with that is, when you first set it, it might be open, so when you put the pump on, go outside and just look under the van where this would be, directly underneath. If there's water gushing out of a pipe, it means the valve hasn't been closed. The way to close it is to make sure the triangle or the diamond is in that position. I'm not certain if you can see, but to the right at the bottom on the same piece of equipment there's a blue button that must be pushed in. So if the blue button isn't pushed in, it will dispel water to the outside of the vehicle. Okay? Now, if you look at the fridge, this is what we call a three-way fridge. Essentially, that means it will run on 240 volts when you're plugged into the mains, gas, and also it's termed battery, but it's not really battery. It's from the alternator when the engine's running. So that's to keep the fridge cool while you're travelling within the vehicle. Okay, you can't use it on battery unless the vehicle engine is running. Okay, so just one thing to remember. These little clips here I've pushed out. They push out on this clip here, so that when we close the door, we've got an air gap all the way around. It's important to do that when you're not using the fridge, or otherwise it will smell. Okay, but when you're traveling, you would push that in when you're using it. Okay, that applies to the fridge as well. Okay, now if we look underneath, there's a control panel. If I turn it on, now bear in mind, again, I'm not hooked up to 240 volts, so you can see A is automatic. It's automatically decided there's no 240 volts, there is gas, so it's picked gas. Okay, and that's all done automatically for you. You can switch it yourself by just changing the symbols, but it pretty much runs itself. It's an automatic fridge. The graded blocks on the right, that's the temperature, so you can turn the fridge up or down with those blocks there. I would keep it on fully cold myself. Okay, so it's simple. It virtually runs itself, this one, because it's automatic. Okay, it's a Thetford electric flush toilet. There's the flush button. So if I open it up and we look to the front of the toilet, there's a sliding blade. Now if you look inside, you can see that opens or closes access to the cassette below. Okay, now if you find that when you're trying to release the cassette from the outside, it won't pull out, it's important not to give it a tug. It's because you've left this open. Okay, so you close that when you're trying to remove the cassette. So if I just sneak behind there and push the button, there you can see the water flushes in. Now it'll stay there until I open the cassette. I'll open access into the cassette. It's very important, the fluid that you put inside the cassette, that you only put it inside the cassette itself. That's from the outside the van. Don't put the fluid into the bowl or you'll stain it. Okay, and remember, this will only work if it's powered on the main control board and the pump is on. Okay, now we're outside the vehicle at the locker door for the toilet cassette. So if we have a quick look in there, you can see there's a blue lever here. We pull that up and grab the handle, the cassette will pull out. Now, like I said earlier, if you find that when you try and pull this out it doesn't come, it's because you either haven't pulled this blue lever up, or most likely because you've left the blade in the toilet itself open. Okay, now to load the fluid into the cassette, this is what we do. Take it out, spin the nozzle round, unscrew the cap, and you've got a little measuring device, look on there. Essentially you just fill that sort of 2/3 full with whatever fluid you're using. Open the access, pour it in, add about a litre of water, and then mix it together. Refit the cap. Put that back in place, and then just slide it home, making sure that it locates on the blue tag. All right.